Are we gonna do this every fucking year? Hi, what's up? So today I'm not gonna do a trailer reaction, but instead I'm gonna say something about a topic that has been going on the internet for the past few days and which has triggered me to do something that I've been putting off for quite a while. So recently, Quentin Tarantino made a comment on a podcast, which he said that basically Marvel actors aren't movie stars. Captain America is the star, not Chris Evans. Part of the Marvelization of Hollywood is you have all these actors who become famous playing these characters, right? But they're not the movie stars, right? Captain America is the star or Thor is the star. I also said, I'm not even putting them down, frankly, to tell you the truth. He's saying this that he clarified that he does not hate Marvel movies, but he dislikes how Hollywood is only interested in making those kinds of films nowadays. Then, a day after, Simu makes a tweet something and says, "If only the gatekeepers of movie stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to take a lead a $400 million plus movie. I am in awe of their filmmaking genius, but they're transcendent auteurs, but they don't get to point their nose at me or anyone." Okay, so first of all, context. In 2019, Martin Scorsese was asked, and he said that for the comic book films, the Marvel films, he said that they're not cinema, they're more likely like theme parks, and that is not an insult, but that's just not the kind of cinema that he used to. And he differentiated the difference between the cinema that he's used to and the Marvel films and what they're doing right now. And he's not saying it as of hate, but it's just out of concern to the state of cinema that we have right now. So that's the background that you need, and I think that's been exploited, especially with a lot of Marvel fans who use that to fuel attack on Scorsese, calling him an old white guy making films about old white men in gangs or mobs or whatever. That's 2019. I never really tried to engage in a cycle because I think I get his point by saying that there's no point to hate these films, but to be able to occupy such space in filmmaking up to distribution is not really healthy to cinema overall. That's 2019. Then Scorsese is then brought up into this conversation when Tarantino makes a comment on a podcast and Simu comments on a comment, and he suddenly just casually throws in Scorsese. I don't know. Something's off. And he also added, "No movie studio is or ever will be perfect, but I'm proud to work with one that's made sustained efforts to improve diversity on screen by creating heroes that empower and inspire people of all communities everywhere. I love the golden age too, but it was white as hell." Seriously, what the Here's what really irks me is that he brings in Scorsese when it's convenient for him to make a point, even though it is a straw man's fallacy. He tries to skew what Tarantino and Scorsese has said about Marvel films in the past. In fact, these filmmakers probably don't even care about Marvel films, but okay, when you're saying that you're proud about diversity that your studio is giving to cinema, and I understand that it's important to have on-screen heroes and leads in films that are of all colors. They inspire future generations of people and empower them, not just as future actors and all, but in every step of the way. But you're missing the point if you think that Scorsese isn't concerned about diversity. Is it convenient to forget that in 1997 he made a film starring an all Asian cast, and then Disney decides to bury that film to satisfy China because China hated that Scorsese made that film, and Scorsese is banned in China. It is also convenient to forget that Scorsese has made a lot of effort outside of his own films to support diversity. What do I mean by that? He has executive produced the films of like Safdie brothers, Joanna Hawke, Production Josephine Decker, Daniel Elizabeth, Alice Walker, Jonas Carpignano, Amelie Van Embl, and Sissy Morgan, and others. And then he has also established the Film Foundation, the World Cinema Project, and the African Film Heritage Project. Films whose goals are to preserve and restore films from all over the world in making sure that they are seen by a wider audience and that for the future generation of filmmakers to have that kind of access to those films. He has made a point to actually have a separate project for African films. So I don't know. I think it's kind of convenient to throw trash on Scorsese if you're not giving him the credit of the that his work on diversity, and if you think that world cinema doesn't matter, and if you have the access and the knowledge, then I think it's a you problem, honestly. The point here is coexistence. It's not bad to have Marvel films, not necessarily. They, first of all, if you think culturally speaking, yes, they support the industry. They give platform for diversity. Yes, they give platforms for different kinds of artists. But at the same time, not at the expense of lionizing cinemas and making it for other kinds of smaller films to even be distributed or even financed. Because now Hollywood has reached a point when studios are just inclined to make these kinds of films. And don't tell me that it's not their fault. Those are the kind of films that make money. Yeah, the smaller kinds of films need support in terms of promotion, in terms of word of mouth, in terms of distribution. Unfortunately, now systems are in place that make it harder for smaller films to be able to actually thrive. That's why smaller films tend to be on streaming. And that's not fair. You know, when you say things about, like, well, our company is promoting diversity. Well, sure. But what about the diversity that it's sacrificing when other films, also made by minorities and underrepresented parts of the population, could not even find financing because no one wants to make those small films? Distribution, because all of the films are filled with Marvel films. You see, that's a more holistic approach to diversity as opposed to like one company being the paragon of diversity. That is self-righteous, that is pretentious, that is hypocritical, and also kind of self-serving, really. Like, okay. And also, to go back to his comment, like, I love the golden age too, but it was white as hell. I don't know if that's fair to pin on Scorsese alone. The point here is that the reason why I'm irked is because it could have been a Quentin Simu thing. But Simu had to bring in Scorsese to the conversation because it's convenient for Scorsese to be the punching bag in the Marvel thing, you know, fans hating Scorsese because, I don't know, why don't you... I hope fans are okay with people not always loving their stuff, okay? Like, if someone doesn't like my favorite film, it should be fine because film is subjective. But I think we've gotten to a point of the bullying other people when they don't necessarily agree with the mob, saying that, I don't know, this is frankly insulting because it diminishes what Scorsese has contributed to cinema, what he has done. Basically, we're pretending that he is only a selfish person who only cared about his career. And it's actually not just insulting, it is downright lying to say that he hasn't done anything. To always call him just like, you know, the small white guy with the glasses making films about gangsters and mobs and violence and profanity. That is to diminish how he has contributed to cinema. Several filmmakers have already cited that Martin Scorsese is one of their inspirations, including Bong Joon-ho, which he said in his Oscar speech. It's really unfair, and I'm not even coming here as a Scorsese fanboy. Not really. I don't even love all of his films, but I'm just saying, let's give where the credit is due. Sure, Marvel films have given platforms to certain artists, especially underrepresented people, to be able to have their platforms. Yes, I agree, definitely. But I also agree that they should not be the only kinds of films that exist in cinemas. Got that? I've said it in the reaction video to the Ant-Man trailer, the Quantumania trailer. It's a hit or miss for me, which means I actually love some of those films. I just don't want a world where they're the only kinds of cinema that I could watch, only kinds of films that I could watch. It is detrimental to the cinema. And unfortunately, I don't know, are we in a slippery slope where it will also be affected business side? I don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. In this channel, we're going to talk about the MCU. I am going to go through the filmography chronologically from the beginning to current. That is around 30 films. I'm gonna discuss the growth of that cinematic universe, the language, the themes, the points of difference, the diversity, the common thread of those films, and see the richness that it has contributed to the culture. MCU. Of course, I'm talking about Martin's cinematic universe. I am gonna review all of the films that Martin Scorsese has made. Going back to his feature film Who's That Knocking at My Door in 1967, up to his latest film in The Irishman in 2019. While we're waiting for Killers of the Flower Moon next year, I'm also gonna include his documentary films that were released theatrically. I'm gonna exclude the TV documentaries. But I'm expecting around like 34 films right now. 34. And the 35th would be Killers of the Flower Moon. And let's see, because I want to see Martin Scorsese, the filmmaker, as someone who, let's see, maybe the criticisms are valid. But also, I don't want people to just think of him as the guy who only makes gangster films about white men, because that's basically not true. Maybe some of his most popular works are, but that's not his fault. I'm really kind of defensive, not of him, but of the work that he has done. And I don't want that to go unnoticed. And I think the younger generation of film goers might have had that wrong image of him if we're not going to do this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to be as regular as possible. But, life happens, so maybe not. But we're going to take a look at his filmography. We're going to see him as the artist that he is and not as the nemesis of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay? And I hope you join me in that ride too. So, yeah, and promise to the people, to the Marvel fans who are still watching right now and say that, oh, you're just hating and trolling. No, I made a promise. I'm gonna be doing something about not having watched all the Marvel films. I will watch those as well. Just stick in the podcast. So, let's just do this first. Let's explore the MCU, Martin's cinematic universe. All right, so while we start this journey, I hope you like this video. Please click the subscribe button, hit the bell button so that you will be updated in all the news things. The reaction videos won't stop, but I also want to start branching out. This has been the plan. It's been more than a month. I'm just waiting for the right time to do this, and this feels like the perfect time because people are still going at Scorsese. He doesn't care. He's making it right now. Let's just go for it. And we all love cinema. Let's just do this. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay? No hate, just love. Okay? Bye.